and concepts. That means what are the major techniques? What are the attacks, first of all, threats, and then what are the counter measurements, protections related to the web security. Okay, so web security is because we are studying web mining, we have also have to learn web security. If there in your first unit. So first unit, I think, okay. So web security is a branch of computer security, which is web security means it's basically web security basically is nothing but internet security. Okay, internet security, browser security, and website security. And if you take the overall picture, it is the network security. So internet security, web security is a branch of computer security. It encompasses the internet, browser security, website security, and network security as it applies to other applications or operating systems as a whole. Its objective is to establish rules and measures to use against attacks over the internet. So you know that internet is inherently insecure. This is an important information. Internet by its nature, it is an inherently insecure channel. Okay, that's why so many attacks happen in internet. So, inherently insecure channel for information exchange, internet. So obviously there will be high risk of intrusion and frauds such as phishing, online viruses, trojans, ransomware, and worms. Okay, so internet architecture is such that there are many scope the attacker can attack. Okay, so you know that right now it is about already you have seen this biological war. Next we might see cyber war. So now countries are having cyber army. So you know that our neighboring country, big country, whose cyber army is very strong. Okay, so cyber army is what is going to decide the future of the country's safety and security. Okay, many methods are used to combat these threats, including encryption and ground level encryption. Now, this thing can happen in application level. First thing, threats can come from application level or from cryptographic point of view. Cryptographic point of view means what? Cryptographic point of view means you know that we have plain text using crypto algorithm. We convert the plain text into ciphertext. Plain text to ciphertext. Okay. Now again, once ciphertext, again you apply the decrypting algorithm, you again get the plain text. This is the main thing. Okay. So Caesar cipher is one of the popular and old ciphertext. Okay, Caesar cipher. So similarly, this is a subject itself. So cryptographically also vulnerable. First of all, when you are sending some message, cryptographically message is vulnerable. Anyone can attack. So there are many attacks. Man in the middle attack. Okay, man in the middle means what? Sender is sending information to the receiver. Let's say this is sender, this is receiver. In between, one fellow comes. So normally, if it is a key exchange algorithm, he sends a key. Let's say KS. And in here one intruder may be there, and he will change this key to, let's say, KS1, and he will send to R. Okay, so R will think that a message has come from S, but he has actually changed to S1. Similarly, he will also send a message, let's say R, KR, and he will change to KR1 and he will send to S. So that means this is called man in the middle attack. So one person will be there in between and he will observe. So this is called what is it called, adversary. Okay, adversary. This man in the middle. So intruder will be the adversary. He will take the information, but both the party won't be able to understand that this is an attack is happening. Like the information leaking is happening. Nobody will understand that. So these are many. There are several attacks possible. Okay. So this is from cryptology point of view, cryptography point of view. There may be application oriented Trojan attack and all these things. Not necessarily all the attack will be cryptographic attack. Okay. There will be application related attack. Somebody may inbuild cookies in your laptop. Some. Okay. We'll see in detail what are the attacks and all. So today's class is totally dedicated towards web security. Okay. So major threats. Major threats are malicious software. So malicious software comes in the form such as virus, then Trojan, highly devastating virus, Trojan virus. Okay, Trojan horse actually. This is called Trojan horse. Till now, this virus is very popular. I mean, people used to, your laptop used to, I mean, system used to get affected by Trojan horses. Okay, you might be knowing also. Then we have spyware. We'll get to know what is this. Okay, then we have worms. These are the software attack possible. So what is okay? Fine. Now what is malware? A malware is a malicious software used to disrupt the computer operation, gathering sensitive information or gain access to private computer systems. So malware defined by its malicious intent acting against the requirement of the computer user and does not include software that unintentionally causes harm due to some deficiency. Okay, the term badware applies to both malware and unintentionally harmful software. So this malware, sometimes also malicious software, which is in short malware, is also known as badware. Okay, BADWare. Okay, this is there. Then what will be the other things? Other software like botnet. Another thing could be botnet. So these are all softwares. Then another thing could be botnet. Botnet is a network computers that have been taken over by the robot. So you know that you might be hearing this term called bots everywhere. Look, software bots. Okay. Okay. So by robot and bots that perform large-scale malicious act for its creator. So what will happen? It is not only that one bot will be activated. Maybe there are thousands of bots will be there on place to steal the information. Okay, so this is called botnet. Then we have typical computer viruses. Okay. Then we have computers worms. So computer worms are the programs that can replicate themselves throughout the network. So it will replicate. So worms, basically what it does, it replicate themselves throughout a computer network. So it basically works in computer network, okay, channel. Then we have something called ransomware. Okay, ransomware is also nowadays popular. Spyware we will be seeing before that ransomware. What is that? So as name suggests that ransom means they are demanding something. Okay, so it's typical comes from cryptology. This ransomware comes from cryptology. Okay, it comes from cryptology that threatens to publish the victim's personal data. Okay, victim personal data threatens to publish, and it's also kind of a malware that restricts access to the computer system that it infects and demand a ransom. So that is the main thing. It demands a ransom. That means it demands the money. Unless you don't give money, it will keep infecting your system. Okay, this is called ransomware. Okay, so demands a ransom in order for the in order to restriction to be removed. If you want the ransomware should leave your systems, you have to pay some money. So this is the next level malicious software. Okay, next level malicious software, and these things are being developed by from cryptographic point of view, I already told cryptographic point of view means the next level, like key exchange, something is going on. Okay. And then we have, after ransomware, we have scareware. Scareware refers to the program. So what it does, it aims to gather information for person or organization. Aim to gather information for a person or organization. Okay, that is what scareware. What it does, scareware is a program of usually limited or no benefit, containing malicious payloads that is sold via unethical marketing practices. Okay, the selling approach uses social engineering to cause shock, anxiety, or the perception of a threat, generally directed at an unsuspecting user. Okay, so what is scareware? The program usually limited or no benefit. So basically, scareware is not that much directly it harms your system. What it does, it generally gathers information. So scareware actually aims to gather information for a person or for an organization. Okay. Now, where you will be getting, these are purchasable. This scareware is a purchasable thing, you can purchase it. Okay. So the selling approach uses social engineering to cause shock, anxiety, or the perception of a threat, generally directed at an unsuspecting user. Okay. So this is scareware. And then next we have spyware. Already I have written here spyware. So computer worms which replicates, ransomware demands money, comes from cryptology point sources. And then we have botnet. Botnet means it's basically bots, online bots, okay, which also can collect critical information from the user. Okay, and then we have seen scareware. Scareware is aims to gather information for a person or organization. Scareware is not that much harmful directly, it never harms, but it may reside in your systems, and slowly it can take the information, your detailed information, and send back to the person or organization who owns it. Okay. So this is the, and then we have spyware. So spyware refers to the program that monitor activity on a computer systems and report that information to others without users' consent. This is also something like scareware only. Spyware also refers to the program that monitor activity on a computer systems and report that information to others without the user consent. This is spyware. Okay, and then we have something called, one particular kind of spyware is key logging malware. So spyware, this one example of spyware can be key logging malware, often referred to as key logging or keyboard capturing, is the action of recording the keys struck on a keyboard. That means this key logging malware means whichever the keys you are typing, it will try to record those keys. Okay, so let us say if you are typing some bank account related password, it can see which are the keys you are typing every time. Okay, and it can get the information. So this is called key logging malware. So this is an example of spyware. Okay, and then finally, software related major threats that we have is called Trojan horse. So Trojan horse, commonly known as Trojan, is a general term for malware that pretends to be harmless. Okay, so that a user will be convinced to download it onto the computer. So this is also something like this spyware only. It's called Trojan. This is it's an old name in the computer security arena. Okay, it's an old thing. Trojan is long, so it's pretend to be a good software, but when people download, it starts stealing the information. Okay, in short, it is called Trojan. Okay, so I think so this, you know, that this developing the antivirus software is a challenging task, and it's a challenging task because both the parties, like every company, they're having one wing for antivirus thing, another wing for developing virus. So every company develops virus also. Okay, so every time the file is getting, let us say, if you're using Kaspersky or something else, some other X antivirus software, so every week, every day, they have to update the antivirus software, because every day new viruses are coming, and that antivirus module also should be there in that antivirus software. Otherwise, it won't be able to detect the current version of the threat. Okay, so this is a never-ending process. Never-ending process. Okay. So Trojan, I think antivirus software that we have already, it it used to catch this Trojan virus. Not a problem. You might be seeing that Trojan has been detected when you run the antivirus software. Okay. So these are the malicious software point of view. We have such kind of many attacks, many viruses that is possible. Okay. Now let us, the software part is over. Software part is over. Next is denial of service attack, students. So denial of service attack is what I'll do. I'll just erase everything. Okay. So denial of service attack, I don't know whether you have come across this or you might have come across. So it is, one second. In short, it is referred as DOS, denial of service attack. Okay. So a denial of service attack, DOS, or sometimes it is referred as distributed denial of service attack. Okay, same thing. Distributed denial of service attack, or it is, that time it will be referred as DDoS, distributed denial of service. Very important, students. It can be asked in interview, company interview also, placement, and they may ask what is DOS. You have to immediately tell the answer. So denial of service attack or distributed denial of service attack is an attempt to make a computer resource unavailable to its intended user. Okay. Now let us say intended. So basically, let us say there is a particular software. Let us say www dot something abc.com. So what denial of service attack will do? It will overload this website so much that, let's say, 1 crore user is actually accessing this, unwanted user is accessing this website, and it will be overloaded so much that other user, the intended user who normally who is having genuine query from the website, will not be accessed this. That means this website will be occupied by the other block of people who are just doing the denial of service. That means they are keep engaging this website heavily, overloaded, so that the normal user won't be able to access it. That is called denial of service attack. So in that case, what will happen? Sometimes what happens, you see, sometimes you see, you, let's say, when the 10+2 marks, or maybe not IIT but maybe there are some, exam time happen when the exam results releases. That time you will be seeing that you are not able to open the website, and instead you are being redirected to some other website. So that is a denial of service attack. That means you are not allowed to access the actual website, but rather you have been redirected to other websites. So this is denial of service attack, DOS. Very important. Okay. So it is an attempt to make computer resource unavailable to its intended user. So what it does, denial of service attack, you have to tell this thing is an attempt. Denial of service attack is an attempt to make a computer means you can call it a website also. Okay. make a computer resource unavailable to its intended user. It's called denial of service attack. So there are plenty of example of denial of service attack. You can go through the web and can check. Okay, Sony Corporation, long back it has happened. I mean, it's a big thing. It works by making so many services requests at once that the system is overwhelmed and becomes unable to process any of them. So it can be possible. Okay, so it works by making so many services requests at once that the system is overwhelmed. So that means this system will be overwhelmed by so many requests from the unwanted place, unwanted sources. Okay, it will be occupied. So this is called denial of service attack. So DOS may target cloud computing systems as well. Okay, DOS may target cloud computing systems also. Denial of service attack would also target cloud computing services. Cloud computing services. So according to business participants in an international security survey, 25% of the respondents experienced DOS attack in 2007 and another 16.8 in 2010. That means you understand how much this attack has been carried out in the past. 25% of respondents experienced a DOS attack in 2007. 2007 it was highest, I think, and 16.8 in 2010. DOS attack often use bots to carry out the attack. So already we come to know what is bots. So it uses bots. So using the bots only, the website will be engaged heavily. Heavily it will be engaged. Okay, so this is denial of service attack, students. Very, very important. Remember that. Very important. So denial of service attack is done. Next is phishing attack. This, though you might be knowing, in India it has happened heavily. Phishing attack. You will get a call from the bank saying that some money will be transacted to your account or something. You got a lottery by this process, or sometimes you will get an SMS. Every day it happens to us, right? An SMS will come where some links will be provided so that they will be asking your bank account number. Once you type the bank account number and your detail, that's all gone. Your account will be finished. So that is called phishing attack. This can happen through mobile, SMS, or maybe through email. Okay, maybe through email also it is possible. So what phishing attack says that phishing targets online users in an attempt to extract sensitive information such as password and financial information. So phishing attack basically targets what? Phishing attack is an attempt to extract sensitive information such as passwords and financial information. So financial information, mainly bank account number, CIF number, like that. Okay. Mobile phone number already they will be getting, because our mobile phone is almost everywhere. Okay. So through that they will be trying to get your account number. Once they get the account number, that's all, your account will be finished. This is called phishing attack. It is also an old attack. Okay. So phishing occurs when the attacker pretends to be trustworthy. So sometimes what happens, it can come through email. It's nice email, pretended to be very nice email, genuine email, or sometimes people used to call also. In India, there are a lot of phone calls happen in terms of phishing attack. Okay, so victims are directed to a web page that appear to be legitimate, but instead route information to the attacker. So this is phishing attacks. Tactics such as email spoofing. So with phishing attack, we have another thing, email spoofing. So when you get such kind of email, that is called email spoofing. That means fake email, spam email you can get. Okay, email spoofing is nothing but another spam email. Okay, so email spoofing. So email spoofing is done, and it tries to make emails appear to be legitimate to the sender, and long complex URL they provide hide the actual website, because the long complex URL they will provide, there will be slight difference. If you go by the namespace, let us say only names for www dot, let's say some bank.com. So some bank.com will be there, but maybe some banks.com. So normally people with the normal eye, they are not able to distinguish between the website. So they think the same website only. So and then they give the secret information. Okay. So URLs hide the actual website in case of phishing attack. Okay. So long URL. So URL full form, you know, resource locator, unified resource locator, I think. So long URL which hides the actual information in case of phishing. Okay. So why these applications are there? Insurance group RSA claimed that the phishing accounted for worldwide losses 10.8 billion in 2016. So using phishing attack itself, worldwide loss is 10.8 billion. So it's a dollar, 10.8 billion dollar in 2016. So this is somewhat 5 years back data. So 10.8 billion is a huge amount. Okay, 10.8 billion. So phishing attack, you understood. It can happen through SMS. It can happen through phone call. It can happen through email. So mostly it has happened to spoofing emails. Okay. Next, there is something called application. So these are the threats. Next is that application vulnerability. Okay, what is that? So sometimes customized application can also be made. Some company can make a customized application. Just that application will be sent to your email or somewhere, your email only, and if you download it or if you install that, then it start fetching the information. So specified application also could be made. So that is called application vulnerability. Okay, so application used to access internet resources may contain security vulnerabilities such as memory safety bugs. Memory safety bugs. So it will say that your memory is this much of already occupied this much. You download this and clean your memory, and you'll be thinking this is just a software. It has happened to my software. I think I have downloaded in some Chinese antivirus, and all my contacts were gone immediately. It has happened to them. With you also, it might have happened. So memory safety bugs. So it will come in terms of memory safety. That means memory related software. It will pop up on your mobile phone saying that your memory is fully occupied. Download this software, and your memory you will be able to clean your memory. So you will be thinking, okay, this is fine. Once you download that, that is actually application vulnerability. So Chinese people used to do that. Okay, Chinese people, China from China, it is to normally is to be executed many times. So this is there. Such bugs can give network attackers full control over the computer. Here computer means it can be mobile phone or smartphone. So a widespread web browser application vulnerability is the cross-origin resource sharing vulnerability. So such kind of application is nothing but, it's called CORS, which is nothing but cross-origin resource sharing. Cross-origin resource sharing vulnerability. Okay. So these are the attacks. Okay, now this is the okay. Next is countermeasures. This is over. Next is countermeasures. So what you can do to deal with these things? Okay, countermeasures. Countermeasure could be, first thing is that TCP/IP protocols, network layer security. So first thing is network layer security. First one. So in network layer security, what happens? TCP/IP protocols may be secured with cryptographic methods and security protocols. So TCP/IP. So what we can do? We have OSI architecture, students. If you remember, I don't remember the full thing because long time I didn't teach networks. So I think we have 7 layers, right? 7 layers. So starting with the physical layer, and then data link layer and all these things, network layer. So TCP/IP comes around this layer 4, 3 like that. Okay. This is transmission control protocol, internet protocol. This is connection less internet protocol. This is connection oriented internet protocol. Okay, connection oriented. So connection oriented TCP is always secure because it is connection oriented. TCP is connection oriented, so it is secured always. Remember that. Whichever module is connection oriented will always be secure. Okay, so this is secure. IP is not connection oriented, it is connection less, so it is insecure network. So here in TCP/IP communication, so TCP/IP communication means, let's say this is TCP, this is IP. Let's say assume that I am not able to recall right now. So let's say 5 layers or 4 layers. This is TCP layer. So this is OSI architecture, Open System Interconnection. In OSI architecture is ideal architecture. It never happens in practical. So whenever you do some project or something, you will be picking some layers from the OSI architecture and you will be doing the job. So here in TCP/IP layer can be secured by cryptographic methods and security protocol. This protocol includes secure socket layer. So first thing is that to provide TCP/IP protection from network layer point of view is nothing but secure socket layer, SSL. Secure socket layer. You might have seen this thing many times if you are doing programming in let's say Linux operating systems. So SSL is daily basis you have to see secure socket hash. In that case, secure socket hash SSH. So this is secure socket layer, and then we have succeeded by transport layer security, TLS. Transport layer security, TLS. Transport layer security. So if you want, you can take note also for web traffic. Then we have pretty good privacy, PGP. Pretty good privacy for email, and then finally we have IPsec. IPsec for the network layer security. So first let us see what is internet protocol security or IP security. IPsec is called IP security. Okay. So internet protocol security is nothing but is designed to protect TCP/IP communication in a secure manner. It is a set of security extension developed by Internet Engineering Task Force, which is in short written IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. It provides security and authentication at the IP layer. Okay, so it provides security on the IP layer only. So IP layer is nothing but connection less layer. Remember that. Okay, fine. So this is IPsec. And okay, the basic component includes the basic component is not needed in case of IPsec. Next is threat modeling. So threat modeling tools. These are threat modeling nothing but some tools. There are also available threat modeling tools. Okay, tools help you to proactively analyze the cybersecurity postures of a system, so that these tools will continuously monitor your system and will try to understand whether it has gone out of control or not, or it is under control. Threat tools are also available. Right now, I don't have example for threat modeling tools, but I'll be telling you in the next class. Then multi-factor authentication is another technique, which in short is called MFA. Multi-factor authentication is an access control method in which a user is granted access only after successfully presenting separate pieces of evidence to an authentication method. So there will be a separate authentication mechanism, which is called multi-factor authentication. Every time user interacts with the system, it has to go through that. It has to give some information and fill some form. So that is called multi-factor authentication. Okay. Second thing is called, next thing is security token. Security token is another way of countermeasure the threats, cyber threats. Okay. Then we have electronic mail security. So electronic mail security means we have spam email. So it is called ham. So I mean you have two types of email, right? One is spam, another one is ham. So ham means it's a legitimate email. Legitimate email is ham. It's called ham. And spam is the unwanted email. Okay, unwanted email spam. So electronic mail security you have. Then we have firewalls. So computer firewalls control access to the single computer. A network firewall control access to an entire network. So there are two types of firewalls. One is the network firewall, another is your system firewall. So network firewall provides security to the network, complete network, and system firewall provides protection for the system security. Okay. Then we have